of particular materials, right? That means the transportation which is carried out in humans. Today we are going to see the transportation in plants in detail, right? So for plants, soil is nearest and richest source of nitrogen, phosphorus, and which are absorbed by roots, right? So for plants, what is the thing is that two things are very important. First is water and the second is the food which is prepared, right? So for plants, what is the main source for getting the water is nothing but the soil. Now that soil contains the water and that water contains few ions like phosphorus, nitrogen, which are very useful for the plants, for the growth of the plant, right? So those are absorbed by the roots, right? So the first thing for plants, the soil is the main richest source for carrying out or for getting the main ions like nitrogen and phosphorus, and those are absorbed by the roots. If the distance between soil contacting organ and chlorophyll containing organ is small, then raw materials can be easily transported. See, I have written here that if the distance is small, right? So where it is, when small amount of distance is there, then it can be easily transported from one region to the next region. Here I have written the soil conducting organ and the chlorophyll containing organ, right? So the contact between the soil and the chlorophyll, right? So this both are very important because the soil, it is containing water content, the chlorophyll is responsible for formation of the food, right? So when this both of them are having less contact or less small distances there, then it can be easily transported, right? But what happens when it is large, that means the distance is large between these two components, that is soil and chlorophyll, then what happens, the raw materials cannot be transported easily. That means if small amount of distance is present, then it can be easily transported, but if large amount of distance is present, then it cannot be transported. So now to understand that why, now for example, let's talk about, you might be knowing that the trees are divided into three parts: herbs, shrubs and the trees. Herbs means the small plants, shrubs means the middle or medium sized plants, and the trees, you all know that they are having brown color bark or woody stem, and they are large in size, right? They are tall also. So the roots are present at the end or like inside the soil, and the leaves are at the top. So the distance will be more in the tall trees, and when we are talking about the small herbs, then there will be small amount of distance which is observed, right? So now to conduct the water as well as the food materials, two pathways are there. The first one is xylem and the second one is phloem. The xylem moves water and minerals, right? The one who is responsible for the conducting or for the conduction of the water from one place to another, that is through the xylem. And the one who is responsible for transporting the food from one place to another in the plant body, that is known as phloem, right? So one is going to move or transport water along with the minerals, and that is nothing but the xylem. The second will be transporting the food, that is the product of photosynthesis. Now you might be knowing that what exactly photosynthesis is, right? Photosynthesis is nothing but it is the process through which the plants prepare their own food in the presence of three things, that is first is sunlight, second is CO2 and the third is water. So for carrying out photosynthesis, the plants need what? Water, and that water is present in the soil, which needs to be conducted upside till the leaves, because the photosynthesis takes place inside the leaves. Okay. So hence it transports food from leaves, and that is responsible, that who is going to conduct that? That is phloem. So now we are going to see these two of them, the two of the pathways in detail. So starting with the first one, that is xylem. What happens in xylem? In xylem, tracheids and vessels, stems and leaves, they all are interconnected to form the continuous water channels. Now if, for example, if four of them, that is tracheids, vessels, stems and leaves, right? The main portion, the leaves are, there is a need of water in the leaves, right? But what happens if the leaves will be not having any contact with the stem, then is it possible that the water is being going to conduct till the leaves, right? So for this reason, there should be a continuous water channel which has to be in a continuous manner, right? Now why it has to be in a continuous manner? So if there will be any water conduction will be stopped, and the water which is being needed by the leaves, that leaves are not going to get the water. For this reason, the xylem, what happens is these two are the components of xylem, right? That is tracheids and vessels. This, along with these two, the stems are connected with it, and along with the stem, the leaves are connected to the stem. So all these four are interconnected to form a water channel which is in continuous manner. So the flow of water will be in the continuous manner. In roots, cells which are in direct contact take up ions. Now the cells which are in direct contact with the soil, right? What happens? The roots are also made up of few cells, right? And that cells are in the direct contact with the soil, and that soil is containing what? Water. So through those cells directly, the cells are going to absorb the ions from the water, from the soil. This creates difference in concentration of ions between roots and soil. Now what happens? Initially the soil will be containing more amount of ions, but now the cells of roots, what they do is they absorb the ions. So what happens? The soil which is having more amount of ions, it is being absorbed by the roots. For this reason, there will be a decrease which is observed in the soil, and the roots are going to take up the ions. For this reason, the roots are going to have more number of ions, and there will be a kind of decrease in the soil. So it creates a difference in concentration. Concentration means the number of ions which was present initially in the soil, now it is not there, because as the roots have already absorbed the ions from the soil. So this creates a difference in the concentration of the ions. Water moves into root from soil to eliminate the difference. Now to eliminate the difference, that whether the soil is having more amount of ions or not, to eliminate this difference, what the water do is, along with the ion, the water is also being absorbed from the soil to the root. See, I have written water moves into root from the soil to eliminate the difference. So along with the ions, water is also absorbed so that the difference is not unbalanced, right? So when the water along with the ions moves, everything gets balanced. Water and minerals are transported to each part, right? Now this water which is being absorbed, and along with the water the ions are also absorbed. Now each and every plant needs this ions for its growth and for its maintenance and for its all the functions to be carried out, right? So for this reason, this water and minerals, they all are transported to each and every part of the plant. The loss of water from the aerial parts of the plant in the form of water vapor is known as transpiration, right? This is the main term, and it can be asked in either MCQ or it can be asked in a 1-mark question. The next is phloem, right? The first one was xylem, the second is phloem. Now in phloem, the transport of soluble products of photosynthesis is called translocation, right? Translocation means whatever food is being produced by the plants are transported from one place to the another place, and that transport of those soluble products of photosynthesis is known as translocation. Translocation occurs in the part of vascular tissue of plant called phloem. Two types of vascular tissues are there. You have already studied this vascular tissues in 9th standard, right? These vascular tissues are of two types, the xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem both are said to be the vascular tissues, but amongst them, xylem is responsible for conduction of the water and phloem is responsible for translocation of the food materials. Beside it also transports amino acids and other substances. Along with the food materials also, several amino acids are also transported. The amino acids are said to be the building blocks of the proteins. That means so many amino acids combine with each other to form a chain, and that chain combines with another chain to form a protein, right? So the amino acids are also transported, and along with the amino acids, some other substances are also transported. Translocation takes place in the sieve tubes with the help of adjacent component cells. So where the sieve tubes are present, as we saw in the xylem, that two components were there, which were there, the tracheids and the vessels, right? Same way in phloem also it is having a component which is known as sieve tubes and companion cells. These sieve tubes are the adjacent cells of the sieve tubes are companion cells, and downwards. Translocation, materials like sucrose is transferred into phloem tissue by using ATP energy. Now for the translocation of this type of materials like sucrose, right, and the other sugars, what happens? The energy is utilized for the translocation of this type of materials from one place to the another. So I hope you are clear with the whole phloem and the transport in plants. So here we complete the transportation. The next topic of this chapter, that is life processes, is excretion, right? Excretion means the process of removal of waste materials produced by cells is excretion, right? So it is nothing but the removal of all the waste materials from the body which is produced by the cells, that is known as excretion. So first we are going to see the excretion in human beings. So here this two figures, I hope you can see the two figures very properly, and these two figures you have to practice at your home in your notebook so you can easily draw when you are appearing for the exam, right? So first we are going to see the excretion in human beings, and so I have drawn the excretory system of human beings over here. So the organs which are involved in this system are, the first is the pink color that you can see is, that is nothing but the kidneys, right? So it is present in pairs, right? After that there is a renal vein and a renal artery which is connected to these kidneys and which is responsible for bringing the blood to the kidneys for getting purified. Next is when the kidneys, whatever waste has been collected in the kidney, that is passed, and here in the kidney the urine is formed, and that urine is passed to the ureter, right? Ureters are nothing but the two yellow colored pipes which we can see, and these pipes are responsible for carrying the formed urine from kidney till the urinary bladder. So what is the function of ureter? To collect the urine which is formed in the kidney, to collect it and bring it to the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder is nothing but it is a bag-like structure in which the urine is stored. And at the last I have shown a hole-like structure, that is nothing but a urethra. That is when the smooth muscles of urinary bladder, right? When the urine is filled, comparatively the urine is filled, right? Now when the urine is filled, right, the urinary bladder is filled with the urine, what happens? The smooth muscles of the urinary bladder contract, and for this reason whatever urine is stored inside the urinary bladder, it comes out through the urethra, right? So this is nothing but the human excretory system, right? So here whatever waste, what kind of waste, right? So as we are ureotelic, right, that means we produce urea. The cells of our body, when they do the biochemical reactions and when they perform their functions, what they produce as a waste product, that is urea, and this urea is a nitrogenous waste and it is present in the blood, so we need to remove that nitrogenous waste from the blood. The function of the kidneys is to filter out waste products. So kidneys are responsible for purifying the impure blood. So here this is the basic of the human excretory system, and in the kidneys, as we know that the living organism, right? The living organisms are said to be living as there is presence of cells inside their body. That means the cells are the structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Same way, for the functioning of the kidney, there are specialized cells which are known as nephrons. There are specialized excretory units which are known as nephrons, and in this nephrons what happens? The filtration of the nitrogenous waste carries out, right? So nothing, first we are going to see this in detail. So this is the structure of nephron. This type of, so many nephrons are present inside your kidney, and the function of this nephron is to filter out the blood, right? That means they are also said to be the filtration units, or we can say they are said to be the structural and functional unit of the excretory system, right? So starting first we are going to see that which are the parts of the nephron. So starting with this orange color, the two pipes, right? I have shaded one pipe and I have not shaded the another one, right? So this shaded is said to be the renal artery. This is also renal artery only, but I have shown it in two different ways. As I have written here right? So whatever blood is the blood which is containing impurity, that means the nitrogenous waste that is coming through the afferent arteriole and it is opening into the Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule, this cup-like structure as you can see, which I have drawn with the yellow color. This Bowman's capsule, it is a bag-like structure in which there will be the presence of network of this afferent arteriole, right? Now what happens in this Bowman's capsule? There are some filtration sleeves which are present in between. This filtration sleeves, what they do is, as the name already depicts, that filtration, that means they are going to do the filtration. Here the filtration of blood takes place as this afferent arteriole is carrying what? Impure blood. This impure blood is opening into the Bowman's capsule. It forms a network-like structure. This network-like structure is known as glomerulus, right? Now, when the network is formed here and the blood passes, whatever nitrogenous waste is there, it is filtered out inside the yellow colored part, that is the nephron, right? And whatever blood, now the blood is pure. Once the nephron, when the impure blood is entering inside the Bowman's capsule, right? That means the white arrow is nothing but what? It is a waste carrying blood, right? That means once the blood is coming here, whatever waste is there, it is poured down into the nephron, right? And whatever blood now is pure. Now that pure blood again comes out in the form of efferent arteriole. This efferent arteriole is going to further come when we will reach to the loop of Henle. Next is, now when the Bowman's capsule here, the glomerulus, right? This glomerulus is going to pour all the waste material inside this tube, which is known as nephron. Now it passes to several loops, right? It is curved and it is a tubular structure, and when it passes here, this loop, you can see a U-shaped loop. This loop is known as loop of Henle, or we can simply say Henle's loop. Here what happens? This efferent arteriole, which is pure, right? This again comes back here, and whatever waste, right? Now see, this tube is also having mucus inside it. So what happens when the waste is passing inside this tube? It also adds some of the water inside it. So along with the waste, what is added? Water. So now, as you already know that the urine, the form of urine is liquid. That means the more content of water. So what happens when it is passing through this tube? What happens? The water is also being added. Now along with the water, in this waste materials also some important ions are also loosed, right? So what happens? This blood again comes back over here till the Henle's loop, and what they do is they absorb those important things from this particular waste material, right? And when they take it, it goes back in the form of renal vein, right? Next what happens? This Henle's loop again goes upwards. It forms the tubular part, that it forms the coil-like structures, and they open into a main duct which is known as collecting duct. As the word already depicts, that collecting duct means it collects the urine, right? This urine opens into this region, right? At the place where the ureters are connected, right? So this collecting duct is going to collect what? All the urine which is formed inside the nephron, and that urine is opening at the end of the ureter. So when the urine is collected by the ureter, it goes to the urinary bladder, and when the smooth muscles of urinary bladder contracts, the urine passes out. So this is the whole excretory system of humans. So first we initially saw that what are the organs which are involved in the excretory system of humans, and this is the exfiltration units, or we can say the excretory units which are present inside the kidney, and these nephrons are responsible for carrying out the formation of the urine. So I hope you are clear with the two topics of this chapter. First, we have already seen in the previous video that we have seen the transportation in humans, that is human heart. Today we saw about another topic, that is transportation in plants, and the next main topic is excretion in humans. So I hope to see you again. Thank you.